we're ready.
Okay. Welcome to all members of the committee, to the public and to the press. A few housekeeping issues. Under the new legislation, which is now in place, we're allowed to hold meetings remotely by whatever means are available to the local authority. We'd ask that those taking part in the meeting all turn their phones off or to mute. Remind all participants to allow a slight pause for technology to display information and therefore to be patient prior to speaking. Only speak when I ask you to do so. Remember to turn your microphone on before you speak. Members can't leave the meeting during the presentation or debate. If you do, you'll be unable to vote on that application. If for any reason you believe you did not hear the entire debate, please abstain when the time comes to vote on that particular item. Reminds for members of the public and local members that they are present purely to observe the process. If I lose connection, then Councillor Price, as Vice Chairman, will stand in until I can regain connection to the meeting. If another member of the committee loses connection, I may decide to have a short adjournment to allow for the member to rejoin. We have a timing system for presentations. I understand the clerk has a device to do this. Normally, members of the public have a total of 3 minutes. I believe in this case it's separated into 1 minute sections. The local member or the local council has up to 3 minutes and the local member has up to 5 minutes. Can I now invite each councillor on the committee to switch on their microphone in turn as I announce them and introduce yourselves. Councillor Beston.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Councillor Beston, Shanklin Central Ward.
Councillor Cameron.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Councillor Cameron from Freshwater, member of the Planning Committee.
Councillor Kilpatrick.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Councillor Kilpatrick, Binstead and Fishbourne.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Councillor Jones-Evans, Newport Central.
Councillor Fuller.
Councillor Paul Fuller, Councillor for Cowes West and Gonad.
Councillor Price.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Vice Chairman of the Planning Committee and local member for Newport North, including Whippingham South.
Thank you. Councillor Smart, are you there? I can't see an icon for Councillor Smart, so we'll jump to Councillor Hollis.
Councillor Richard Hollis from Newport West.
We now move on to the agenda. First,
my apologies. My apologies. Councillor Garrett wasn't on that list, and I believe Councillor Smart has just joined us as well.
And Chair, you didn't call my name.
Who did I miss?
Brian Tyndall.
All right, hello Brian. Sorry, you're not on my list. I don't know why. Oh yeah, you are. It's Councillor Tyndall. Councillor Tyndall, please introduce yourself.
I'm Councillor Tyndall, Bradington Hill and End, Benbridge.
Councillor Smart, are you there now?
Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
You're there. Okay, thank you very much. And Councillor Garrett?
Hello, Chair. Yes, Councillor Andrew Garrett, Parkhurst Ward.
Thank you very much. We now move on to the agenda. With minutes of the last meeting, members, can you please advise me if there are any issues with the minutes of the last meeting?
No, Chair.
No. I therefore propose approval of the minutes and ask for a seconder. Yep. George Cameron. Will everyone vote for the minutes who were at the last meeting? Raise your hand. That is carried. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Members are advised to notify the clerk in advance of today's meeting to advise of any declarations of interest. Councillors, if you believe you have an interest that you have not pre-notified the clerk, please indicate that in the chat function. Clerk, can you read out any declarations you received?
I've received a interest from Councillor Jones Evans. She has a pecuniary interest in the item on the agenda as she is a director of the company, and I believe she will be leaving the meeting before its consideration. Thank you very much.
We all know Councillor Jones Evans, therefore there is we're all covered that we do not have to make an individual declarations of interest on this matter.
Thank you. So I'll leave the meeting now.
Okay, thank you. Public question time. We've received one question from the public, which if you give me a minute to find it, I'll read out and answer it. The question from the public relates to P0039515, proposed development of 15 dwellings off Ash Lane in Gunville. The question is, how is the foul sewage for this development to be discharged to existing sewage network in Gunville? A foul sewage holding tank with pumping station. B, upgrade any part of the existing sewage network. The answer, the foul sewage for development will be pumped to the existing network. Discussions have taken place between the developer's drainage consultant and Southern Water. All drainage details, information and correspondence is available to view on the council's website under the application reference. That's the only question. Before we move on to the items on the agenda, have all members received the update paper on this application? Can you just raise your hand to indicate that you have? There's a couple of people who don't appear to have their hands up. Can you, Debbie, you didn't put your hand up. Did you receive the update paper in your email?
I'm not aware, Chair, of having received an update, no. I apologise if I've missed something.
I don't think you did either, Councillor Garrett. Put your hand up. Yeah, no, did you you didn't put your hand up, so you haven't received it.
I don't believe I have.
Well, if it's been sent out, but if they haven't been aware of it, can I ask that Sarah, when she presents this, just covers what would be the variations in that. So we now move on to the main item on the agenda, which is the application for the change of use of a shop in the High Street in Sandown. Sarah, would you like to start presenting?
Thank you, Chairman. I hope members can all see the presentation on the screen. Before I go through that presentation, I will, as requested, just briefly cover the matters within the update paper for those members who haven't had the opportunity to see that. In essence, there are quite a few, so I'll go through them. Bear with me. So effectively, the first one is a variation to the first section of the report, which is entitled Reason for Committee Consideration. So this section, there were some concerns regarding the wording contained within the reason for committee consideration, and therefore it should be updated and replaced with the following. The application has been submitted on behalf of a company in which an elected member is a director. That's the first change. It has also been drawn to officers' attention that there are some errors contained within the published report, and therefore the following paragraphs should be replaced. Paragraph 2.1 should be replaced with consent is sought for the change for the change of current use class of the building of A3 restaurants and cafes to a sui generis use to allow the building to be used as a microbrewery and bar. And paragraph 6.4, sorry, that's 6.4, should be amended with the reference to Regent Street removed and replaced with High Street. Following the completion of the report, the applicant has provided a noise management plan. This has therefore then been sent to Environmental Health, who have confirmed that the plan should control the noise from customers and background music. Therefore, in light of this comment and the submitted plan, we propose a variation to condition 3 of the report, which would be varied to state that the noise management plan submitted in respect of this application shall be implemented and adhered to in full. And should the annual review outlined within the plan raise issues, a revised plan shall be submitted to and agreed in writing with the local planning authority. The reason for that condition being in the interest of the amenities of the neighbouring properties and in accordance with policy DM2, design quality for new development of the island plan core strategy. Correspondence has also been received from the tenant of the flat above the application premises, outlining that since the site has been occupied since October 2019, they have not suffered any inconvenience from sound pollution or had to complain about sound generated by activities. Sound checks have been undertaken, and by mutual agreement, the base box has been relocated. The comments also outline that they think, I apologise for my pronunciation, but Bojan Snark is a great regeneration project, and we also appreciate the fact that they have limited opening hours. They have also confirmed that they have a good relationship with the owners and have direct mobile numbers so that issues can be raised and addressed. The conclusion of the update paper is therefore that the errors contained within paragraph 2.1 and 6.4 are not considered to be fundamental to the material considerations of the report, and therefore there is no change to the recommendation. That hopefully now covers all the points in relation to the update paper, and I'm hoping members can now all see the presentation, which I will run through. The site is 105 High Street in Sandown. It's located on the northwest side of Sandown High Street and is shown on the current slide in front of members with the red line around it. As the plan shows, this is a proposed finished floor plan, effectively showing the proposed use of the site. The site was formerly a cafe at ground floor with residential above. The residential use of the above floors will remain unchanged, but the proposed use would see a mixed use and sui generis use of the ground floor, which would see a cafe bar facility, a nano brewery, a micro museum, a hyper local food venue, a gallery and retail space. The difference between the two plans in the image that members can see in front of them is one is in essence showing the covers and a seated plan, and the top one is simply just showing the format of the space without those tables in it. The store area that's shown on this plan would in fact be where the food would be prepared and would actually be a kitchen space, as is currently the case for the cafe that's formerly on this site. The use of this site, as indicated in the update paper, did commence in October 2019 as a cafe and bar venue, with the proposed nano brewery developing over time. I will run through some images we have. This shows the frontage of the building as when it was previously in use prior to lockdown. And then a previous image of that frontage when officers attended the site visit sometime before, which shows the difference in terms of the fascia sign being there and the building being brought back into use. It was previously vacant, with the cafe that was previously on site being closed for some time. This is just an image just for information in terms of the rear of the site. And then I've just included a couple of images looking up and down the road so members can see the current High Street. The building in the foreground of the picture here is a neighbouring property which is also shown to be vacant at the time of this image being taken, and then another view the other direction down the High Street. In essence, the application is recommended for conditional approval. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Sarah. We have 3 members of the public who want to speak in support of the two in the support of the applicant, one is the applicant. Marie, do we have everything set up for them to make their presentations?
I believe all three have provided a written statement which Russell Chick will read out.
Okay, so the first statement will be from Mr. Paul Cousillant. Russell, can you please read that?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I will. Hopefully you can all hear me. I'll start with Mr. Cousillant's comment. This is a very welcome regeneration venture in Sandown's Lower High Street, made possible with the help of a grant from the government's Coastal Communities Fund, supported by the Isle of Wight Council. I want to add briefly to the comments I've submitted in favour of the application. With its licensing arrangements in place, Boojum and Snark has already shown how successfully it will help regenerate this part of town. Last autumn, it was a hugely popular stop during the Beer and Buses weekend, as it surely will be again when that event is next able to take place. Since then, the applicant and her colleagues have managed to bring something completely new to Sandown, a meeting place with a friendly wine bar type atmosphere, art exhibitions and occasional acoustic performance. It's a bit like Sandown having its own mini version of Key Arts. I feel confident the business's own micro-brewing will be popular and unobtrusive to neighbours, and it seems to me every care has been taken to achieve that. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. The second presentation is from Mr. Guy Eads. Russell, can you read that one out, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes. I have read the officer's report in respect of 105 High Street, Sandown, and please would you have the following statement read out on my behalf when this application is discussed. Please approve this application. It is an excellent example of the range of new small businesses that should be attracted and supported in Sandown Town Centre and the High Street. It is also well researched and presented. This is especially the case with regard to the 2011 Sandown Heritage Conservation Area, which it lies within, with its retention and restoration of its original bay fronted shop windows and recessed front entrance, together with an attractive business title and sign above. I hope it begins to set the pattern and a benchmark for regeneration in the Sandown Conservation Area. With thanks, Guy Eads.
Thank you very much, Russell. The third presentation is from the applicant, Ms. Tracy Mickish.
Dear members of the Planning Committee, we were thrilled to have been the only Isle of Wight application to qualify for the government's Coastal Communities Funding Round 5. We'd like to thank the Isle of Wight Council, the Common Space and the community of Sandown for their support getting this regeneration of an empty shop project started. We required a change of use to carry out brewing on our Pico brewing kit, 75 litres per brew, which has an adequate bespoke ventilation system built by Island Air Conditioning. Regarding the possibility of sound pollution, we have prepared and submitted a noise management plan, which is one of the conditions in your report. Boojum and Snark is a multi-hatted space featuring a tap room, Pico brewery, art gallery, creative hub and retail space, which we hope will benefit the local community and provide jobs. To date, we have hosted the local swimming group, had local storytelling and have installed an art exhibition on our window during the pandemic. We hope that you will support our application. All the best, Tracy Mickish.
Thank you very much, Russell. There are no objectives to this application, but Councillor Debbie Andre would like to present as local member. You have up to 5 minutes, Debbie.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm Councillor Debbie Andre and I'm the ward member for Sandown North. Referring to SGOE2 of the Draft Island Plan, sustainable economic development that will generate, maintain, grow and attract businesses that will be proactively supported. It carries on to develop economic development. Support will be given to a range of employment development types through small and medium enterprises to larger organisations through the promotion of flexible starter units. To give some local context, historically, the lower end of the high street in Sandown, where these premises are located, has lower footfall than the upper end. Therefore, any business which will encourage greater footfall to the area, in my view, is to be encouraged. The premises where this business is located, as has already been mentioned, has been unoccupied for some considerable time, I think several years to my knowledge, and it's being brought back into use, I feel, is very much to be welcomed. In agreement with residents, comments made both on this application and to me as the ward councillor show a high level of support for this venture, which, if successful, will greatly add to the regeneration of both Sandown as a whole, but in particular, much needed in the lower high street. As has already been mentioned, early indications have seen high levels of patronage for Boojum and Snark from residents not just in Sandown, but from across the island. It's my belief that it's exactly the kind of enterprise needed to kickstart our town's economy, whilst building up a reputation island-wide and beyond. If approved, this will send a strong message that not just Sandown, but the island as a whole is once again open for business, which is especially crucial at this challenging time. I'm encouraged that this application has been recommended for conditional approval, and I'm delighted that this venture is located within my ward, and this application therefore has my full support. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Do any members have any questions of fact or explanation that is required from the officer? Please let me know in the meeting chat bar. There don't appear to be any questions. Would anyone like to move a resolution to accept this application and to approve it?
Chairman, I believe Councillor Hollis, Councillor Fuller and Councillor Tyndall seem to have their hands up.
Oh, sorry. They're not in the chat bar. But okay, so Councillor Tyndall.
Yes, I'm happy to propose this.
Councillor Hollis.
Yes, Ms. Wilkinson, could you put up the floor plan again?
Sorry, bear with me, Councillor Hollis. I've got slow network connection, so it's not moving as fast as I would like.
Which is that? What does that mean as the floor plan? You've got two separate ones. Is it as it will be at the top and as it is at the bottom, or?
No, sorry, through the chair, if you're happy for me to
ahead.
reply, Councillor Quirk, thank you. As stated in the presentation, they show the same, they show the proposed floor plan, but one with the covers shown, with the tables shown, and one without the tables shown.
And what is the requirement for a number of toilets per number of seated covers?
I would say that it's not a planning consideration. I wouldn't be aware of that. It's not a matter that planning would be involved in
Right.
in any way. So yeah, I couldn't answer that question, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, all right. I have no objection to this application at all. I think it's very good.
Would you like to second the proposal?
Yes, quite happy.
Thank you very much. And who was the third one? Was it Shirley? It's Councillor Smart.
No, Councillor Fuller.
Oh, Councillor Fuller. Sorry, Councillor Fuller. Paul.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, it fits in with our the objectives of the island plan.
insofar as it regenerates our town centre, and I'm very happy to support the application. Thank you.
Okay, we have a resolution. Does anyone wish to speak against it? Can we put the resolution then? In this instance, we have to go through a named list. Marie, do you have the list?
I do. Do you want me to call out each member in turn and they can just say for, against or abstain?
If you could.
Marie, can I just quickly, sorry Chairman, it's Bengard here. Just to confirm, Councillor Tyndall, Councillor Hollis, and for the purposes of the recording in the minutes, the proposal is to approve planning permission in line with officer recommendation. Is that correct?
That is correct. Is that your view?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, so Marie, can you call the vote?
Councillor Beston.
I fully support this application.
Councillor Cameron.
Approved, Chairman.
Councillor Fuller.
Support.
Councillor Hollis.
For.
Councillor Kilpatrick.
Approve.
Councillor Tyndall.
For.
Councillor Price.
Vote to approve this application.
Okay. Councillor Smart. Councillor Smart.
Agree.
Okay. Councillor Quirk.
Approve.
That's 9 for, none against.
Seem to have been admitted.
No abstentions.
I'm sorry, Chair, my name was not called.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Garrett.
Yes, I vote to approve.
That's 10 for, none against, and no abstentions.
So unanimously approved. Would you like to invite Councillor Jones-Evans to rejoin the meeting?
Yep, we'll do.
Are we having trouble connecting?
I'll try sending a quick email.
Should we continue with the meeting because there's nothing further to do, and you advise her what the outcome was?
Yep, we'll do.
We're up to members' question time. No members' questions have been received. Therefore, we're in a position to close the meeting. So with that, thank you very much for attending. The meeting is now closed.